you capture a video like this with just your phone? Or do you need one of these? A camera and lenses that cost thousands of dollars. Spoiler alert, you can. But it's not quite that simple. Now we all know that smartphones have come a long way in the last few years, especially when you look at the cameras. The iPhone 14 Pro with its triple lens system and computational photography, I'm not 100% sure what that means, but they can do amazing things. On the other hand, cameras like the Nikon Z8 exist for a reason. The level of control, detail, and depth they give you, it's on a whole nother level. So today we're gonna pit these two side by side using one of my favorite photography niches, aviation. So let's start with this little guy. This is the iPhone 14 Pro. It's light, it's small, it fits right in my front pocket, and within a few taps, I'm ready to shoot. There's no fuss, there's no complicated setup, and for most people, that's all they're really looking for. They want something they can have in their pocket, and whip it out at a moment's notice, take a video, and call it good. The iPhone really excels in a couple ways in portability and ease of use. Let's say you're at an air show and something amazing is about to happen. The F-22 is about to come out and just rock your socks off. So you whip it out and boom, you're ready to capture the moment. And that's amazing. You're ready to do that and you can capture it in 4K so quickly. Just think about that. In a small phone like this, capturing 4K video at a moment's notice, that's just really impressive what they've been able to do with phones. Now compare that to this beast, the Nikon Z8. You've got lenses that weigh a ton, a camera body that's anything but pocket sized, and you definitely need a backpack or a Pelican case just to carry your gear where you're going. It's not the kind of setup that you can just pull out at a moment's notice and capture the moment right then and there. There's a few things you have to do to set it up to be able to capture that perfect shot. But here's where the Nikon wins. You're not just capturing the moment, you're capturing everything in that moment at the highest quality possible. The detail, the dynamic range, and the options you get with a pro camera are on a completely different level. But is it more work? Yes, absolutely. 100% it's a lot more work. But is it worth it? Well, that's what I'm going to answer for you today. Okay, let's talk about one of the biggest differences, the zoom. One of the nice things about the iPhone 14, 15, and 16 Pro is that you have 3 options for optical zoom, which are all really, really good. This one specifically, the iPhone 14 Pro, gives you a 3x zoom, which I think is about 77 millimeters, and the 5x on the newest version is somewhere around 120 millimeters, which is honestly pretty crazy to me. But after that, you get into the digital zoom territory, and this is where things get a little bit pixely. Digital zoom isn't actually zooming though, it's cropping. You're cropping the image, and the more you crop that image, the more detail you're gonna lose and the worse the image is gonna look. So while it's great for casual shots, if you're trying to capture that crisp shot of an F-15 with the afterburners lit, or a C-17 banking at 60 degrees and see every detail, you're gonna lose that quality from the phone really, really fast. Now with my Nikon Z8, I'm using my 70-200 or my 200-500. Which give me the ability to zoom in really far without losing detail. Whether I'm far away or close up, I'm getting the best possible shot without any compromise with these lenses. And that's key for aviation photography. Let's be honest, you want to see the rivets on the side of the jet or the patch on the pilot's arm. Having those little details is just makes it so much better. It almost feels like you can touch it or you're right there in the moment. It's amazing what it can do. You just can't beat the zoom on a professional camera with a high quality telephoto lens. And for any photographer, this is where the biggest investment comes in and the most value comes in, because that's where you're gonna get the best quality possible. You could put a really nice piece of glass on a cheap camera and the photos are still gonna turn out amazing. Whereas if you have a really nice camera like the Z8 and you put a really cheap lens on it, not gonna be that great, let's be honest. But with that, you're able to capture shots that would be impossible with a smartphone. Honestly, it's just not possible. All right, let's change gears just a little bit and talk about image quality. Because for aviation, every little detail counts. No doubt the iPhone Pro phones are really impressive and have really good quality. They're sharp, they're clean, and they're totally capable of capturing fast-moving aircraft. But when you zoom in, this is where things really start to separate. So just to show you what I'm talking about, here's a direct comparison of the Blue Angels, where I actually had my iPhone mounted right on top of my camera. So you're seeing the same maneuver happen in real time, one from the iPhone and one from the Nikon. You can see the iPhone's video quality is solid, and it does capture the action nicely. But you can see that the jet is fairly small in the frame, and it gives you a good sense of the subject and the overall scene. And while you're seeing a solid image from the iPhone, take a look at the Nikon. You're just so much closer. The jet fills the frame more, and the depth or separation of the background and the jet is so much better and so much more detailed. You can clearly see the individual markings, the reflections on the surface of the jet, and so many small details that you simply couldn't see on the phone. And this is where the Pro gear really shines, and I think you can see why. Now this next example is a really cool one because it's an F-15 going vertical with the afterburners lit. The iPhone catches the action and it looks so cool seeing the whole scene and the speed of the jet. But now here's the photo from the Nikon. Boom, you get that crisp detail. And you can even see the fire coming out of the exhaust, which you couldn't see in the video at all. All the contrast, the sharpness, and all the little details in there, they're just amped up with the Nikon. Now I have to say, capturing these jets in flight, it's not easy no matter what you're using. They move really fast, they change direction so quickly, and if you're not on it with your focus and tracking, you're gonna miss the shot, or you're not gonna be able to keep the aircraft in frame. Now here's a great example. Now I honestly think this one is a toss-up. The iPhone video gives you a great sense of what you would be looking at with the naked eye. You get the full scene in the view, and that's valuable because a lot of people like to see the bigger picture because it gives a good sense of what's happening all around. And to be honest, the main reason that I think that this is a good case for the iPhone is because this video has gone viral across multiple platforms. I think across all the platforms, it's garnered 15 to 20 million views. So that just goes to show you that a simple iPhone video can resonate with a lot of people and also give that same wow factor that you want. So it's a good testament to an iPhone. But check this out. This is where I think they both have their place. The Nikon allows me to freeze the exact best moments. It's awesome because you can capture a moment in time where this massive aircraft is banking at 60 degrees, which happens so quickly in the video, which you might not really see on the iPhone if you took a picture of it. In this case, I think the iPhone might actually have the leg up because it still delivers that wow factor. It doesn't need to have that sharp, crisp shot that you get from a really high-end, professional, expensive camera. What you're seeing in the video, even though it's not the highest quality, is still enough to wow people and make them go like, oh my God, I want to watch that again. It's pretty amazing. So I think on this one, iPhone wins. And I will say for grabbing those individual jaw-dropping stills, the Nikon is obviously very impressive. And now here's another great example of this. This one was a really cool perspective because I was up on a hillside looking down on the jets. Just like I said in the last example, the iPhone catches that wider scene beautifully, giving you that entire picture. But the jet is really, really small because it's so far away. But with the Nikon, you're seeing a totally different perspective. It brings the background, the lake and the shoreline closer. And the afterburners, you can actually see them here. Whereas in the video, you wouldn't really even know they were lit. One area where the Pro camera and the telephoto lens really excel is with depth and perspective. With a DSLR or mirrorless cameras like a Z8, you're working with lenses that give you full control over how you compose and frame each shot. They do a really great job of separating the foreground, midground, and background, giving you that beautiful depth that you want to see. Take this C-17 flying over a mountaintop, for example. In the iPhone video, you can see that it catches it really well, and it's a cool video. But look at these specific shots from the Nikon. The depth it captures with that mountain and trees in the foreground, with the jet behind it, has that incredible wow factor that you want from an image like this. The jet feels really big because it passed behind that mountain in the foreground. And when I shared these photos on Instagram, people absolutely love them. They're my highest performing photos. And when you look at the video, these moments just pass by so quickly and you don't even notice them. And when I saw these photos for the first time with the jet behind the mountain, I was just ecstatic. I was blown away. I was so happy with what I had got. I was just like, wow, these are amazing shots. Now, one of the things I will say about this is the further in you zoom, the harder and harder it is to track the aircraft and keep them in the frame. This is a bonus point for the iPhone because it's just so much easier to track with it. To give you some perspective on what I mean, let's take a look at this shot of the C-17 doing the big banks again. Here's the field of view you can see from the iPhone. And when I overlay the photo from the Nikon, you can see how much smaller that field of view is, which makes it really, really difficult to keep a fast-moving aircraft in the viewfinder. So I think you can understand why it takes a lot of practice and why there's such little margin for error, and you can see why the iPhone would be so much easier in these circumstances. Now here's the thing about pro gear. You get control over every little detail. I'm not just whipping out my camera and clicking the button. I'm setting it up for the perfect shot that I want. I'm setting up the aperture, the shutter speed, the ISO, the white balance. There's so many things you do to make sure you get the most perfect shot possible. So there's a little bit more work that has to go into it. Here's a really cool example. I shot these two videos from the exact same spot. The growler shot is on the iPhone and the F15 was shot on my Nikon. The iPhone video is solid and it looks really good and it's a really cool video. But now look at the F15. It almost doesn't look real, does it? I got a lot of comments calling it AI and CGI. To be honest, I can almost understand it because if I hadn't been the one holding the camera in my hand and pressing the button, I would probably look at it and be a little bit skeptical too. I mean, look at the depth and the clarity. It's just so crisp and you can see all the little movement the jet makes. This is what I mean when I say control. With the Nikon or any other professional camera, you can capture these surreal, almost imaginary moments and bring them to life. So what's the verdict? Well, I think the iPhone has its place. It's quick, it's easy, and it captures some seriously cool shots that anyone can be proud of. But if you're looking for those wow factor shots or shots that you would hang on your wall or see in a magazine, then the Pro cameras just can't be beat. Bottom line, it all comes down to what you're after. Are you looking for convenience and you just want to be able to capture photos or videos anytime, anywhere, no fuss? Then the iPhone's for you. But if you want the control, the quality, and the kind of shots that make people go, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen, then absolutely, the Nikon Z8 or any other professional camera is worth every single penny. It's true, it is. And with that, that's the end of this video. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe button, and let me know in the comments below. Do you prefer to use your iPhone or a professional camera? I really want to know. I want to know if you guys, if my followers use phones or cameras. I use both. So there you go. All right, catch you in the next one. Bye.